Kirk, and welcome to the McGee House. You know, part of our collection here at Steuben County Historical Society, a lot of people don't realize we have, is a small but very interesting collection of historic artwork. And for instance, this right here behind me, this was a wreck when we got it. There were tears in it and holes, and of course it was completely coated, as everything was in those days, with nicotine. So it had to be cleaned and conserved and restored, but it looks pretty good right now. It's a view of Bath in October of the year 1859. And if we look at it, we can recognize quite a lot. Here's Mossy Bank, and we've got the Conhocton River flowing by here. We can see Lake Salubria in the background, and even the railroad tracks are right where they still are today. At the time, this is the Erie branch, the Rochester branch of the Erie Railroad. This house with square pillars on it still stands on Route 415 west of the village. Now the rest of this looks like, we say, well, we can recognize a lot of that. Well, maybe sort of, not exactly, because 1 month after this was painted, a fire burned most of what was between Liberty Street and Gansevoort Street on the far side of Liberty. And then in 1860, another fire burned down the courthouse. Courthouse, we know, was put up the following year. And then various other fires took a lot of this out. Churches were replaced at various times. One thing that's on the painting that's still here is us, right here now, in the 1831 McGee House. That's still with us. And we also have the painter right here. Andrew J. Russell put himself into the painting. Interestingly, not long after he did this painting, he gave up painting and took up the new field of photography. And exactly 10 years later, he took one of the most famous, most reproduced photos in the history of the world, and that's the two locomotives head-to-head at the driving of the Golden Spike on the Transcontinental Railroad. Became much more famous as a photographer than he ever was as a painter. But one thing that's interesting about this painting is it's not obvious, but this is the world that was, the world that vanished, the world that perished, isn't here anymore. Because the same month that Andrew J. Russell was painting this picture in this quiet little peaceful part of western New York, John Brown was attacking Harper's Ferry. And not long after that, he was put on trial so quickly his lawyer didn't even have time to get there, and was executed not long after that. And a couple of years following, we were in the midst of great civil war, as Lincoln said. So this is a time before that. Time of peace. There's no soldiers' home right here in this area because we hadn't turned millions of men into soldiers yet. And yet it was also a time of slavery and torture and terrorism in a good part of our country. So for better, for worse, this is the village of Bath, our county seat, as it was in October of 1859, just before the Great Civil War.